Hello, everyone. Olá, pessoal. Bem-vindos ao Wikidata Lab de número 27, o primeiro Wikidata Lab de 2021. A gente está promovendo esse evento com a temática do WikiProject Leis Brasileiras, e ele vai ser feito em inglês, porque é um projeto um Wiki-projeto, né, que abrange vários projetos. Ele é focado nas leis brasileiras, então ele tem um foco em português, mas como a gente está nessa parceria internacional também com o Wikisite, a gente vai promover o evento em inglês, e os slides vão estar disponíveis no Commons brevemente. Então, vou começar a falar em inglês. Perdoem qualquer erro de gramática ou de conjugação. Então, vamos lá. Hello, everyone. I'm going to present the Wikidata Lab with Veronica. I will introduce her in a minute. So this presentation will be held in English, so we can broaden our audience to other communities, not non-Lusophone communities. Excuse the sounds in the background. Is afternoon in São Paulo, so it's not quiet. Let me share my screen. I'll present first, and then I'll pass to Veronica, and then we can work on the activities. The activities will be done via Google Meet, so the link will be posted on the comments, and I'll show you on the slides in the end of the presentation. So let me share my screen. This window, okay. So now I have the StreamYard. Let me go here. Okay, present. I hope you all can see my screen. If the scene is not available for you, I will ask Erica to say to me. Okay, so let's start. This Wikidata Lab is about the WikiProject Brazilian laws. You will see a lot of green, yellow, maybe some blue. These are the national colors of Brazil. I don't know how the international community deals with nationalism, but I don't like to use these colors very often, but I think for this project, it fits well. So this project is organized by the members of the user group Wiki Movimento Brasil, and this presentation also, with the support of Wikisite. So this Wiki project was born as a grant from Wikisite to develop some theme, and we proposed a project on a grant project around the Brazilian legislation. So for this project, we identified a problem or a series of problems, and we proposed solutions to them, or first solutions, and This is the problem. So laws and other legislation entries are available on the websites, the official websites um, of the Brazilian government, the Palácio do Planalto or Planalto Palace, and in the LexML platform, there is a legislation platform in Brazil, but it is present in other countries as well, the system. But these sites, these websites, have presented difficulties for us, common users, to navigate and search the information, or to catch the information, the metadata about them, and it's not very practical. So you have to do a lot of clicks. You have to also know what you are looking for, and you can't just ask a generic term, for example. The issue that this situation brings to us is that laws, especially laws, but all metadata should be open, but especially about legislation, because we need to know our legislation, or we, the people around the world, on our societies. And open and public data promote transparency. I think major flaw in the governance system. I speak for the Brazilian one, of course. I don't know how the other governments deal with their data, but in Brazil, you have laws about the openness of the data, but although you have APIs, for example, to fetch the metadata, they are not practical, and they have no documentation or very little documentation. So this is not fully open, because this openness requires that everyone and anyone should be able to access, use, analyze, and share the data. Veronica will show you the APIs and the systems that these legislation items are stored at, and you will see that they are not very open, in the sense that we can query them and download the CSV, for example. So therefore, Brazilian laws are not available in an open or transparent manner. That is the problem. And the solution that we thought there would be a good solution for this problem is to store these legislation items on Wikidata, because Wikidata is an open platform with semantic metadata that we can translate to other languages as well. And we have a broad community, not only Portuguese-speaking people, but other publics as well. So the solution that we proposed is to set up a process on how to model and import the entire framework of Brazilian laws. And this includes decree laws, that is a type of legislation, that is a type of law, to Wikidata, documenting in detail the process and the methodology. So others can reproduce this methodology to build their own WikiProject within the law topic or not. So we broadened, we expanded our scope for this methodology and the process and the documentation to allow other wiki projects to use this methodology. Is very generic, is built to be generic, so others can build something of our wiki project and tools outside this scope. So, for example, I want to build a wiki project about dams I have a Wikibase, a database about this kind of stuff, and I want to build a project around this topic. And so how do I do this? The documentation will provide this. So we have a lot of goals to reach. So the first one is to create a project page on Wiki, and in this case, Wikidata, to organize the activities. So we have a Wiki page to organize the activities, share links and steps that we are taking in codes and schemas of the properties that we are using, and discussion around the topic of the Wiki project. We created, so the topics, the goals are to create a schema crosswalk between Wikidata and Palácio do Planalto website, and we included the LexML website as well. So this would be to create which project is present in Palácio do Planalto that corresponds to the project, to the property on LexML, and which property is that property on Wikidata. So you have like a Venn diagram. The third goal is to model the metadata schema for each type of legislation. They are pretty much the same, except for the instance. The modeling was the same. For each period of time for the Brazilian legislation, the period of time did not count, so it's the same model from the beginning of Brazil to now the ending of Brazil to the nowadays. The fourth goal is to create an ever-growing dynamic lexicon for the distinct terms of categorization of the Brazilian laws. So each Brazilian law has a summary, kind of a summary, and also has keywords that define the topic about that legislation item. So for that, we need a lexicon to say, oh, this word is used in LexML, for example, and the correspondent in Wikidata is that. The fifth goal is to load all the available legislation on Palácio do Planalto website and LexML website in Wikidata, and create the ones that already exists. They were around 150 items of laws, of Brazilian laws on Wikidata. Now there's plenty more, a lot of items. Next goal is to develop an interface on Toolforge to translate the metadata from the Palácio do Planalto and LexML into quick statement comments to import into Wikidata. We modified this goal a little, not the goal, but the result that we were trying to reach. We don't use quick statements because that would require 2 logins, and for a new user, this might be a bit confused. So you need to log in the tool on Toolforge, and then log in into quick statements to run the commands. So we transferred that all to the tool itself. The next goal is to create in parallel of all of these goals, the documentation for all the steps, and we thought that creating a documentation about how to create a wiki project and how to create a tool, for example, would be better using the Wikidata Wiki Project Brazilian laws as an example, as an illustration for this documentation would be better for the community. So we would not be stuck with legislation items on this one country and this other country. So we broadened our goal. And here we are, promote a Wikidata Lab to improve the community capacity on how to do this and how to think about the process of creating a Wiki project and developing tools on the Wiki projects. Our measure of success is import all Brazilian legislation available on the websites, Palácio do Planalto and XML, into Wikidata. This was around 28K items. About laws and decree laws, we needed somewhere to start from. There is actually around 8 million items of legislation, and this includes provisory measures and other types of legislation that are not laws or decrees. We uploaded to Wikidata this amount of items as a kind of a test, so we can, with the tool and coordination with the WikiProject, we can upload batches of types of legislation, for example. Create one tool. This tool is available on Toolforge. I will share the link in the end. And we need to, as a testing, again, at least 100 successful uses. That includes, that is 100 items created, so we can be sure that the tool works. Promote one event of technical training. That is where we are right now. Create one documentation about the process and one handout that is like a how to do documentation, printed documentation, and one wiki page that is the Wiki project itself. Participation of at least 10 editors of the Wikimedia community not related to the project in the activities. So I can't be the one creating 100 successful items. So I would be biased, basically. So we hope we have this amount of people to work on the activities in the afternoon more later. So the next part of this presentation is the Wiki project page. This is the link. You can copy this link, and there are tabs. Each tab is about one aspect of the Wiki project, based on other Wiki projects around the Wikidata. And there we have the Schema crosswalk that I explained earlier, that we have the properties on XML, the properties on Palácio do Planalto, that is misspelled here, and the properties on Wikidata. So we have some properties on XML that are not in Wikidata and is not on Palácio do Planalto either. And all the properties. We have properties that are only on Wikidata and are not present on these databases. So for that, we created a table with the properties from XML, from Palácio do Planalto, and from Wikidata, and a description about what is this property on that database. So this is the link, and we have a few more properties there, and we share only 4 with both projects, XML and Palácio do Planalto, and there are some properties on this those databases that are not present on Wikidata. That is because this property is not structured on Wikidata, or not structured, cannot be structured on Wikidata, or wasn't structured yet. This property, particularly law digest, is the summary of the law, basically, short text that summarizes the law. This was one of a property that we proposed and created. XML Brasil ID also. This is the animation. We have another tab about the data visualization, basically, that there we have a few queries showing timelines, topic analysis, lists of items to wiki source and Wikipedia. There are the wiki source part is not there because this is an aspect that we hope that we discuss with the community. So how to build a project that can, for example, scrape the text from the Palácio do Planalto website and put it on a wiki text format on wiki source. How to do that? And we need to gather people to think about this process. This is the link also for the tab for the data visualization. This is bubble chart that was created about the law or types of instance of law or subclass of law per country. So this is one of the queries there. So Brazil now on Wikidata has the highest number of laws or decrees or something around subclass of law on Wikidata. This is around 28K, and the others are around 8 and 4. Another tab is the lexicon, a lexicon of topics or subject, also called subject of the law. There we have a table, a wiki table with the term that is the keyword for the legislation item that is common in other legislation items. So there are 4,900 legislation items that includes laws and decrees that use alteração. So is also and we have a column for the key ID that is mudança, that is change in English. So if you are seeing this page in English, you will, if you set your language to English, you will see this label in English. This is the link for the tab. And now we have it, section about the source code on how did we scrape the metadata from both websites. And for that, wait, let me get out of the presentation and add Veronica and remove myself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Veronica. I worked along with Éder in the Wiki project of the Brazilian laws. Let me share my screen now. Let's see if this works. Is it showing properly?
Not yet.
Oh. Oh, wait. Did it go through now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. So now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the source code behind this project. So just to start things off, this is what the XML website looks like. So here we have a law, we have its title, we have here a nickname, some information about it. And this is the human readable format. XML also offers an option for you to see the website as an XML file. So to do that, you have to access the law through a different URL. So as Éder said, the laws aren't actually offered in a very transparent manner, in the sense that you can't download them, but at least in the XML website, it is easy to query them. So here we can see there's this really long URL that we can use. If we go to this website, we can use the operation search retrieve. The query term here, we're looking for specifically federal laws, and here the federal laws number. And we can also pick how many records we want to see by page and on which record we want to start. So by messing around with these two parameters, we can browse all laws. So we can see them 500 at a time. This is what the XML output on the XML website actually looks like. So we have almost the same information as we had on the laws record. We can see here its name, we have its URN, which is an identifier. We have the description of the law, and here the subjects it's treating. One of the pros of the XML website is that it's very easy to scrape it. Since the information is made available in XML, it's super quick for you to just query it, access it, and scrape it. And you can do it around, we did it 500 laws at a time, but you could check it a little less or a little more. So it's a fairly easy process. The website can be accessed using the request library in Python, which also makes the process even quicker. And it has a control dictionary. So the terms it's using to describe the authority behind the law, the place the law applies to, the subject, and the type of document, they're all controlled words. The only issue with it, the main issue, is that not all information that you can see in the XML human readable form is made available in the XML form. So several links to the Senate's website, for an instance, the Chamber of Deputies, the original project that originated the law, those aren't made available through XML, which is one of the reasons why just scraping this platform alone wasn't enough to get all the information we wanted to get about the laws. So just to give you a main view of how the script works, we started off by checking the laws 500 at a time. So we would query the website and we would have 500 of them listed. Based on that, we used the XML E3 Python library to generate an E3 based on the page's content. So basically that means that it'll find the nodes in the XML and see what is linked to what, and it will help us browse the information more easily. Based on that, it will identify this particular tag, which if we go back here just so you can see it better, it's this one. The entire text of the law is contained within this tag. So we always look for this one since the information is contained within it. After we found the law, we're going to check them one by one. So first, we'll identify the attributes we're looking for. So we're looking for the law's name, the subjects, where the law applies to, that sort of information. Then we would save all of this information to an object that was also named law, which is making this quite repetitive. And then we would append this law that we just found to a list. We would then repeat this process to the other laws in that page until we reach the last one of them. After that, after we reach the last one, we would go back to we would start it over, starting from law 501 up to 1000 and so on until we scraped all laws. If we used a lexicon flag, we would also generate a lexicon of all the terms that were cited as a law subject, since we're also interested in which were the most common topics for laws and how often they came up and which kind of law were mainly citing them. So What this means is that we were looking for all words that were cited as a law subject and how often they came up. And then we would just print out all the output to a file separated by an asterisk. So here you can see all the data that we were scraping. So the type of document, we would look for this tag and the text within it. So the date, we're getting the text within it. The same for the URN, the country, the type of authority the law applies to, its title. The law has two descriptions. We got both of them. And here the subjects, the topics that the law approaches, and this identifier, which is an internal identifier to the system. We also got this number, but the really important one is the URN, which is the standardized identifier they're using. We saved all this information in this law object in Python. And here we have this list, which we used it to, you can ignore this little part. I just made it so it would fit in the screenshot. But we used this to pick which tags we were going to scrape. So here you see type of document. It's typed in exactly the same form as it is here, which made the code a little bit cleaner and a little bit easier to run. And here we have the base URL. So the good part about doing it this way is that we could scrape any kind of law whatsoever in the system just by changing here the search term, and the script would work just the same. So when we were trying to create the lexicon, just so it's a little easier to understand, this is what it looks like, the final output. So here we have the count of how many times each term was used, and here the term itself. So after we've browsed all the laws and we've created all the objects with all the informations and all the subjects, if the lexicon flag was used, we would then go through all the laws one by one and check which subjects were used in it. So if that's a word we haven't seen before, we would add it to our lexicon. If that word had seen before and it's already in our lexicon, we would add a +1 to the count of how many times it had been seen. So in the end, we would have this file with this final count. The count was generated for both the law decrees and the federal law separately, and then we merged both files so we would have the final count on which words were most common. Here we have the Palácio do Planalto website, or presidency's website. So the API is a lot different from the website is a lot different from XML. So when we look up the same law, we have two main important links. Here we have a link to a record, which has further information on the law. And here we have a link to the full text of the law. So both of these links has information that we're really interested on. Here we can see the page with the full text of the law. And here we have the record with the information. So as you can see, the record is a lot longer than the XML one. It has far more information. You can see who signed the document, which president was the one to do it. You can find the link to the official publication the law was first published in. You can find information on whether it has been vetoed or not, and even information on which kind of law is related to that particular piece of law. So once we merged both the scrape results from both websites, we had many information on all laws. However, there are several issues with scraping this website. The main one is that the information isn't made available in a machine-readable form. It's not only a matter of we not being able to query it with an XML. We can do that. We can download it as a CSV, which is a feature that many Brazilian public websites, they have an option for you to download a JSON or some machine-readable format, which has all the information on the website's database. In this website, you couldn't do that. You couldn't query something more specific. Even your search results, you're always limited to only 10 in a page. So it's not really meant for scraping. It's not really meant to be mass read. Another issue we've had with it is that the URLs aren't standardized at all. So here we have the link to the full text of the law. And as you can see, this part of the URL is quite random. It doesn't really follow a standard. It doesn't keep the standard that it will change from this 03 to 02 and 01, or that the years will always be the same. The URL is always changing. And the link to the law record also has the same issue. So here, it seems like it's a fairly common query. You have the type of law, the number, the year it was published on, but then you have this hash in the end. You can't access the website if you delete this. You can't access the page if you don't have this hash, and we couldn't find a way to recreate it. So we can't say that it was made so you couldn't access the website. Maybe it has some internal use for them, but it made our life a lot harder. And the third point is that the site detects when you're trying to access it automatically. So if you try to access it using the request library, it won't work. If you try to go with Selenium, it will request you to fill a CAPTCHA. Maybe not in the first try, but after 5 or 100 accesses, even if you try to randomize the time between the accesses, it will still eventually identify it. Which is why, as I just said, requests won't work. Selenium and Chrome driver, which is our usual approach when we have to scrape a website like this, also doesn't work. So after researching a little bit, we came up with this alternative of using undetected Chrome driver, which is a Python library. Just for those who are not familiar, Selenium is a library that you use for web scraping. So you open a web driver, but it's a different one. So you're not using Firefox or your regular Chrome. You download a different driver called Chrome driver, which will be used to access the website. So it's a driver that was made to be used for automatically visiting websites. And this one, it can't be as easily detected as the regular Chrome driver. So the website didn't realize that it was an automated access. So since we couldn't do the same approach, just to back up a little bit, with XML, we could do everything at the same time. So we were querying all the laws and we were scraping all the information on them at the same time. But here, this isn't doable. So we came up with a different approach. We broke the step down. We broke the process into different steps. First, we created a semi-automated script to gather the URLs to all the law records and the full text of the laws. And then we made another script that would then visit each one of those URLs and scrape its content. So the pros of this, this slide shouldn't have been here. I'm sorry about that. So to start it off, the first step, we have to find the URLs we're trying to scrape. So to do that, we use Selenium to access the presidency's website. So this is the page you get when you open it. Then we chose to manually filter the kind of law we're picking. So here you can pick, we chose law decree. We could have picked federal laws or any other different type of law. We chose to keep this step manual because it's a lot more flexible for you to just be able to pick both the type of law and the time frame you want to filter. This will come in handy in a little bit. So after you've made your search, this is the result you'll get. In this case, we have 12,000 results, more or less, and we could only see 10 in this page at a time. And here we have the links we want to scrape. So what the script would do is that it would identify each one of these laws listed. It would then pick the link for both the law record and its complete text. So it would save the law name, the link to its record, and the link to its full text. After it did that for all the laws that are listed in the page, Selenium would then identify the last button down here and click it. And then it would keep the process going until it got the information on all the different laws. Then we would save this information to a text file separated by a semicolon. The main issue with the script is that occasionally it would crash. So it could either be a connection issue or too many requests on the website. After a little while, you would eventually get a blank page. So our way around it was to make use of the selection page here. We would just filter the laws. All the laws were listed based on their year. So we would just filter them from maybe a 10-year period or 20-year period, and that way we would scrape them a little by little, and the script would just work perfectly. So after we got all the links to all the laws, it was then the time to actually scrape each link one by one. So the first step to do that was to read all the URLs from our CSV file. Then we would visit each law one at a time using undetected Chrome driver so that the website wouldn't block us. We then used the beautiful soup library to parse the page's HTML, which made it a lot easier to find the text that we were interested in. So the way the page works, the Palácio do Planalto record, you have, for an instance, the name, and then right next to it, you have the law's name. So we were identifying the names, and they were always contained within H2 tags. Then we would save all of those to a list name tags. For each H2 tag, we would then look to what's right next to it. So you always had the name and then the name of the law, or who signed it and the name of the signatory. So we were always looking at the next member. So we would save. This next member would actually have the value of the attribute that we would later save on. So then we saved all these values to a law presidency object. We would save this object to a list, and we would repeat this process for all the laws listed in the CSV file. In the end of it, we would save the output to a text file. So here we can see the source code of the law record in the presidency website. So as you can see, everything is always listed inside a list item. What we were looking for, the attribute name. Here is the date the document was signed. Here it's in an H2 tag. And right next to it, we have a div tag, which has the value we want. So we were always looking for the H2 item and then the one right next to it, because as you can see, the class it's in, the name isn't always the same. It can change quite a little bit. So it's easier to just look for whatever is right after the H2. Then we would just save this to our object in question that we use to organize the data. So the main issue of this code is that it runs very slow, especially when compared to XML. Just to give you an idea, to scrape the entirety of the federal laws on XML, I think it took under 3 minutes probably. And scraping all laws on Palácio do Planalto, it probably took a few days. The website loading time is quite slow, and we actually have to visually load the website since we're using Selenium and undetected Chrome driver. We couldn't just use a request, which would make the process a lot quicker. And we have to check them one at a time, and there were close to 27,000 laws. Another problem is that the code relies completely on having the undetected Chrome driver library. It wasn't an issue for running it on our local computers, but later on, when Éder wanted to implement this on the Toolforge tool that he'll talk later on, it wasn't possible to use it because of this problem. So our solution behind this was to just scrape the laws a few thousand at a time, just to prevent having some sort of connection issue, which maybe would make us lose track of where the work had stopped. Another issue that came up is that, well, we've scraped everything that was on this system and everything on this system, but then we had to make a link to find which law was the same on both of them. That was a little bit harder than expected because there isn't a common identifier between both systems. As such, our way around it was to match the laws by comparing their number and their date. Our laws are usually named in a manner such as Federal Law Number 123 of April 10th, 2021, for instance. It's important to check both the number and the date because we have some instances of having 2 or 3 laws with the same number but published on a different date. However, this didn't always work because there were a few inconsistencies between both systems. Overall, there were around 250 laws that had a different date or number in their title in Palácio do Planalto website and in XML. So just to illustrate it, here we have a law that on the presidency's website, it says it was published on the 10th of May of 2015. And on LexML, it says it was published on the 8th of May of 2015. So it's not a huge difference. You could make this matchup manually later on. And considering the amount of laws that we scraped, there were over 25,000, and we only have an issue with 250. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it's something to keep in mind if you're trying to do the same for your country. If you're getting information from different platforms, it might not be as easy as you're expecting to match the properties from both of them. You can find the entire documentation of our code on our GitHub page, and there's also a more detailed explanation of the code on our WikiProject page. The code is commented, but the WikiProject version is a lot more detailed. And I think now Éder will come back to talk a little bit about the Toolforge implementation.
Yes, I actually will fetch a question from Jan. Let me click show. So the question is, did you have to check them manually?
I did for the ones that there were inconsistencies because I wasn't really sure what was the issue. I thought maybe there was some problem with the code, maybe we had scraped something, maybe I had scraped something wrong. But then after looking some of them up, I could identify the issue we had. So I think you could do it automatically using the VLOOKUP formula on Google Sheets. It has an option that allows you to make a matchup, which is a close matchup. It's not a perfect one. So you could probably try to automate it that way, and then just check them one by one to see if it looks like you're matching the proper things.
And for the semi-manually using the undetected Chrome driver, we actually so from time to time the script would crash. So we would see a blank page. So we have to manually edit. And I think this is when the question happened, Veronica.
Oh, sorry.
That was when you said, we have to check them one by one. So it's not that we have to manually check, but the script enters the tag of that item, that law item, and then fetch the information for the record and for the full text and the name. So we have to check them, but not manually. I think that's it for questions. Let me present my screen again. Let me see. Add to stream. Okay. So now we have the application on Toolforge. Toolforge is the project that holds all the tools designed for Wiki purposes. So this is the tool that we created. The source code is an adaptation of the code Veronica just showed. I don't know. Just presented, and the adaptation is basically because when we were scraping the websites to fetch the metadata, we were asking for all of them, all of the law and decrees, decree law from the websites. So on this application, we don't want people to create a lot of items manually, like a batch creation of items. So we need, this application is focused on the creation of the metadata of one item per time. So I will show you, this is the front page of the tool. Then I will actually click it. The source code is at GitHub on this folder, this project folder on GitHub. We will have a video tutorial on how to use it. It is in the making. It needs a narration and a Portuguese version, so we can release it. But it will be in this link if no one takes first. The link is this page, this link on Toolforge. So let me click it. You can see this page. Let me see. Let me check. I will remove you, Veronica. So we have this page on Toolforge, BrazilianLaws.toolforge.org. The page is in the full in Portuguese. We can change it. The language is presented. We actually will have another tab here with the video tutorial and about to talk about the project and link properly to the WikiProject Brazilian Laws. So this is the logo that we designed also, and a message to welcome and instructions. So the first thing to do when we log in, we can already authenticate and make an authentication on your Wikimedia account. But we need to read the instructions first. To create an item or reconcile metadata in this tool, you need to be authenticated. And to do that, you click Authenticate. So we can actually do the authentication at any time we want in this tool. So we do it here, we do it in the process of creation or the process of reconciliating the metadata. You can begin the process of creating a new item by inserting an XML URL into the field below. So why only XML, for at least for now? Because XML has an API, so we can search for the item, for the metadata on the API of the website. So we fetch metadata in a structured way, and also XML has like a thesaurus, like a control dictionary of each type of metadata. So type of documents, they have a proper way to say, like, this is a law. So the items of a law, the items about a law will present type of documents that term they use to present the laws. Also for the subject, they are all controlled, the locality and the authority of the item. So the first thing, we can also click on other tasks, so we can reconcile metadata that was not found by other users. Maybe you searched Wikidata to fetch a subject and you didn't find it, wasn't created, or the label is different there from the one used on XML. So you mark this subject, this metadata, as a not found, and this will be presented on the other tasks tab. So we have authority, locality, document type, subject. Let me click on document type, for example. So Document type in the context of this application means the instance of an item. Another misspell. So in the creation of an item that was of the type artigo de revista, that is a magazine article, or a magazine article, a user marked this item as non-existent. So we can click on Reconcile, and we will be presented with an drop-down, a modal window to search this type of document on the Wikidata. Artigo de revista, academic journal, magazine article. So we can click it where we can add the statement, but we can also, we have to remember that to authenticate. So I click on authenticate, and any page, I allow it, and then I'm logged in. I click Artigo de Revista. I can, if I don't find, I can click on not found or non-existent. So someone working on creating items of type of documents for legislation items can know that Artigo de Revista is not created or not found. So they can create. Again, it will show in the language that you are looking at. If not found, we will present in Portuguese. So I think this is an academic journal article, actually, because it's from law, so it would not be a magazine. You can also edit this type of metadata. Add statement, statement inserted successfully. It's an alert from the browser. Okay, then this metadata is gone from this list that only shows unknown or non-existent metadata. So if we go back to run page, we have a link to XML. Let me open another window, a tab. And I can, for example, click on legislation. Let me put in English so you all can see. Oh, no. This is about the XML in English, French, or Spanish. But we can search. For example, I want legislation, legislação, of 2021. Let me find it. I can enter. Then I have all this legislation. We have types of legislation here. All the laws are created. So from 21, we have all the federal laws are created. We can select the authority. So let me select federal, and let me check law. And 21. It will find 21, the law from number 21, 2021, but we can select the date and select the year 21, also the month and the day. So this is the site of XML. Let me check. Let me grab from April, 8th of April. I don't need actually to go in the URL of on the record page. I only need the URL. Let me copy it. Let me paste it. I paste, I submit, and then I have a record, a table with the metadata that was fetched from the the API already presented in a quick statements style, but all the metadata presented here actually, except the date. I think the date is in quick statements style, format style, and the other metadata is presented in the API format. So the document type is of the type legislation law, so is a law. The date is here from 8th of April from this year. This is the title, the original title of the law. This is an identifier, URN, the XML ID. The locality, that is the jurisdiction of this item, is Brazil. In the format returned from the API. So it's not Brazil with Z, but it's Brazil. Authority, federal, that means is the presidency of the republic. So and we have another cell for the subjects. So we have revoke, we have processing, competency, natural gas, importation, and in red, and if you read the instructions, this item doesn't exist yet in Wikidata or was created recently created. So what that means is once we create this item, it will be the time that the Sparkle query to fetch it needs to actually find this item on Wikidata, and this message will turn green. So we'll see in a minute when we create it. And then we have some instructions. So some parameters might not be fully identified, and thus will be presented in red and with a reconcile tag at the table. So all of these. And to identify the metadata, click on reconcile and search for the equivalent Wikidata entity. If you can't find it, select not found, non-existent. To add any reconciled metadata, for example, if I see, for example, I click on revocation, let me try, and I see, oh, this is not the correct item for this word. So I came here and search for something else. For example, Brazil. I will not click Brazil, for example, and then I will add a statement that it would change the revocation or revogação key ID on the database of this tool. So I'll not click that, and I can reconcile all the information. Or for example, if I tried to reconcile and I didn't find any key ID Wikidata item entity for these red labels, I can just upload to Wikidata. So let me check, upload to Wikidata. Statement insert successfully. I don't know if you all see my alert tag here. So it's from the browser. So I don't know if the share screen shows it. So I click OK, and then we'll upload the page, and you see doesn't exist yet in Wikidata or was recently created. Let me, you can click on Find on Wikidata. That will search Wikidata for the item, and then we have this result. So this item, if I click it, is the same one, law number 14134, law 14134. And then we have a full item, not in English, sorry, but because we are creating laws, but this actually can get any type of URL on XML. So if I'm not creating a law, I don't want to create a law. I want, for example, to create, let me check, a book about law terms or a book published on the government. So if I click here, Roman law, and click to create, let me duplicate this, run page. Okay. Here, it will show not a law item. Oh, something went wrong. It was not possible to find information about this item. Try again removing part of the end of the URL. If it continues, please report. So this is a message to report an error. Why is this? This is not actually an error, it's a proper page. Some types of legislation or other items, they have these, they have the URN identifier, but they not actually show on the API. So this item here is not shown on the API, I think because of the zeros, but if we eliminate, it might not be actually. The suggestion is to eliminate part of the string so we can try to find it. It's not always guaranteed because this item can also be shown on the XML record page, but not be shown on the API. So this is only to show the instability of the XML API per se. Let me try it. Yes. So if we removed part of the string, we actually have the actual book that we were trying to create. So if I click Doutrina Livro and try book, livro or book, I can click it, add statement search successfully. It will upload the page and change to green. Bibliography, try in Portuguese. Scholarly article, journal, bibliography. Add statement successfully. Let update the page, Roman law, system. I think it's civil law. I don't know, but I think it's civil law. Again, if we are wrong, we can always click and change this value. So this item doesn't exist on Wikidata, and I can create as well. It will, let me find, it will, oops, wasn't found. Yeah, maybe the search on Wikidata is a little too slow to actually get an item this quick. So we have an item created, a book, instance of a book, title, topics, date of creation, and the URL, the XML ID. So we have an item. When this, I think this would, yeah. So once the item is fetched by the query, the Sparkle query service, this item already exists in Wikidata, and we can use this message emerge and suggests that we use CiteQ or citarque if we are in Portuguese Wikipedia with this type of item, so we can use this as a reference. So let me show you how this would be. This being presented, tests anywhere. In Portuguese Wikipedia is citarque. Show preview, and this is an item CiteQ reference. If I want to ref, would be presented as this: the name of the law, the date of publication, the date accessed, and the date of publication, and the link to Wikidata. So we can actually go to the item of the law. All the code available of this application is on GitHub. Again, the documentation, the handout will be printed and shared among the community and the Wikidata page, the Wiki project page in the next weeks. And we will also have a video tutorial how to use the application. But we will have today to test it and find errors and misspellings that I made. So we can fix it with the help of the community. So we are reaching the end of the presentation. Now we will talk about the activities of this afternoon. So basically, what we need to do is to access the activity, and we will have Google Meet to ask questions, report errors, and anything that you all like to do or want to do and discuss about the project. And the project itself, I would like to invite you all to how do I say, inscrição. Made an inscription? No, that's not I forgot the word. So put your name on the list of participants of the Wiki project, so we can develop other ways to work around this metadata that is now public and open and queryable, I would say. And especially in my mind, I'm thinking about the Wiksource project. There are a lot of items of laws there, transcribed from the Palácio do Planalto website, that I think this project could manage to came up with a way to translate from the HTML from the website of the Palácio do Planalto to Wikitext on Wikisource style guidelines. So this is what is on my mind for the future, not for now, but for the future. So this is the activities. I would like to invite you all to create an item and work on the metadata, curate the metadata, especially about the subject. That is something that we can catch from the API, but we can't automatically say, no, this word is this item on Wikidata, because it would be based only on the label. So the label would not be great to actually choose which item this is talking about, this term. So I made a list on this page. I will share on the StreamYard, use the StreamYard to post the link for this page as well, and in the page of the event. And here we have around 180, 182 complementary law, and 18, I think, 19 laws about the actual laws of 2021, and this one from 1953 to create. So you only have to click a button, then we have the table, so we have a lot of metadata that is not yet imported, not yet reconciled, so we can actually create some of them. Virus, add statement, okay. Then this metadata is now available for every item law that has the word virus on it. So reconciliate and create. When an item is created on this application, you can also edit the metadata, not only create an item, but edit once. I mean, if this item is created, I can go here and reconcile virus, for example, and then click to upload to Wikidata. It would not duplicate an item, but would add the item, the information that are reconciled. So this is the activity, and we can talk on the Google Meet reunion. I think that's it. Something else to add, Veronica?
Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, the audio.
Okay. Let me see if we have questions. Then check it out, the activity. Okay. Let me go up. Sorry, the Toolforge. Let me show. The Toolforge helps to include laws at Wikipedia. How much laws exist at Wikipedia now that could impact by the Toolforge? So the Toolforge application that we built do not include items on Wikipedia, but on Wikidata. So we have the metadata created on Wikidata, as legislation on Brazil is public domain, especially the metadata. So we can fetch this information to Wikidata. So we can create an article about the law and link to the item on Wikidata and use, I think, like Embabel tool to create a type of preset or template for an article about a law, for example. This is one activity that we could include on the horizon of this Wiki project. And I think in Portuguese. Okay, on the project that we promoted, Pedro asks how this help on the referencing of laws in Wikipedia, and how to take advantage of this information that we uploaded. So use it. I think there is a special page on Wikipedia to check the number of uses of a type of link. So per se, the XML link or the Presidência do Planalto, Palácio do Planalto link. So I can share this link later in the activity to show how many articles on Wikipedia uses links to the legislation that could use CiteQ for a better structurization of the metadata they provide. So you wouldn't need to write site, law, title, link, date, and write all this metadata that is already on Wikidata, but kind of automatize it. I don't know if this word is right, but I think this is the concept. Thiago has something. I didn't saw the link of Thiago. Yeah, on the Thiago asks about the alias name of the loss on the XML data record page. So this is one case of that Veronica told us about the metadata that is shown on the page, but is not actually retrieved from the API. So this information is on the record page, but is not on the API. So we couldn't fetch it. So this is why it is not there. But if the API begins to fetch this information, we can. It's only as Veronica showed. It's only a dictionary of which tag to take. Let me see. Is the source code for the Porto open somewhere? This is the kind of thing that we could edit on GitHub. Yeah, I think you found it. The link, the GitHub, all the projects, the scripts used to scrape both metadata are in the GitHub of the user group Wiki Movimento Brasil, on the Brazilian underlying laws, and the code for the project, for the application, is available on this same directory, but Brazilian laws altogether. I think there is another comment of Pedro. Tool is power. How control vandalize? Okay. The vandalism on the tool. So we actually fetch which user do an edit. So if I edit here, I will have the information that Éder Porto did an edit in this metadata. So the control is by the tool itself and who has access to this file. The vandalism, I think we can build active community, let's say that, on the WikiProject to fetch the vandalism and watch the vandalism of these type of items. I think this is a great activity, especially for users specialized in legislation articles with source and items on these projects. Any more questions? I don't think. Okay, so I think we have the link somewhere. Erica could click to show the link. Yeah. I check the activity there, and also we see you on the Google Meet reunion that we will be working on the activities this afternoon. So I think that's it. Okay, bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.